Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming and welcome to another Fast Descendant video. So today I have a build guide finally for the Malevolent hand cannon that is part of the Battle Pass this season. Now I have been stalling a little bit with this gun simply because I know it is completely busted, and so I wanted to build out other guns because there is a genuine case of if you start using this there is really no need to use any other gun. So I'll try my best. I have three builds for this gun for you. Of course, pick whichever you prefer. It has some strong elements. Well, everything is strong here apart from crit. If you put this in the hands of Serena, it's just insane. The amount of damage you can do with this gun is just incredible. Tormentor, yeah, you can kill Tormentor with this gun in the hands of Serena. Avoid erosion purge, yeah, you can do that as well. I took this gun with toxic rolls, toxic core, toxic fixed attribute, put a couple of chill mods, and I finished Void Erosion Purge 30 with this toxic gun on a chill dungeon in about 7 minutes. And it was 7 minutes probably because it had so much toxic. If it had chill, it would have been much faster. So yeah, this gun is insane. If you are new to the game, if you just started playing, I would say get the battle pass. You don't even have to get the battle pass. You get this gun for free. Just complete some of the levels and unlock the gun and just build it out and have an easy time progressing through the game and the campaign and into the early end game. In fact, I'm like an end game player with everything here, all the guns, full mastery, and even I find it like just easy for all the content. So let's quickly look at what this gun can do, and I'll show you the three builds that I've come up with for this one. So first up, what we have is an insanely strong firearm attack. Base firearm attack is 46,000, which is comparable to something like Nazistas Devotion, you could say. Has a lot of toxic attack. Those guns don't have toxic. They don't have an element. Fire rate is 176. That is the base one, which is again similar to hand cannons. I think only the immediate execution, which is a purple handgun, has I think a higher base fire rate. But hand cannons are generally in this range. Some are very slow, like the perforator, which is like 100, and the others are like 200 in this range, really. Now, base ammo is 9. I have increased it a little bit just so that you don't have to reload, because reload time isn't the fastest. It's not that bad, but still, with 9 bullets, you have to constantly reload. Now, the thing they have done with this to just limit a little bit of power on this thing is to reduce the crit rate and crit damage. So, no crit rate, no crit damage. However, that is not really an issue. Now, weak point damage on this gun is very high, 2.5. I think might be the highest I've seen. Multi-hit is quite low because again, this would be crazy if it had a high multi-hit. Aim shot accuracy, hip fire accuracy is both good on this gun. Now, coming to the unique ability. If you look at this gun, it looks basically like something you would see in the retail environment printing labels. However, it's a deadly gun. Anyway, what this gun does is when you hit an enemy, it creates a bladed cog which bounces multiple times depending on the enhancement level. Now, if you were at 2 enhancement level, it would be 3 times bounces. If it's at 4, and so on. So at max enhancement, 5 copies, you do 5. These two numbers remain the same, whether it's 1 copy or 5 copies. So on a hit, just a hit on the body, it'll create 3 cogs that will bounce around 5 times. If you hit the weak point, the head on the enemies, it'll create 1 extra, so it'll bounce around again 5 times. And if you have 5 copies enhancement level, it'll do the firearm damage into 24% of the firearm damage as the extra damage. Now, yeah, so this is the gun, and it is as crazy as it sounds. So let me just demonstrate in. So these are a group of 260 Legion of Immortality. Okay. Done. 21 bullets, and maybe you might have taken less. Destroyed level 260 enemies. Again, these are 260 enemies that you find in Void Erosion Purge, and this is Fiesa, not Serena, who can even do more deadly things. Let me just show you how bad things can get with Serena. So let's just summon Serena here. Okay, with Serena, I'll have to make these guys invincible, And okay, so we do the usual Serena stuff. Open the wings, fly up, do the thing. Just one magazine, okay? I'll do this with one magazine. Look at the damage number. 32 million with the firearm, 890 million with the skill damage. Etc. damage 3 million. So total 925 million damage with one magazine, 25 bullets. So that is how mad this gun is. It's just ridiculous. Okay, let's go back to BS. Alright, let's get into the build here. I have 3 different builds for this gun. And you can select whichever you prefer. One is sort of like a mix all around with various things. One is focused on multi-hit, one is focused on just chill damage, one is on weak point, because those are the 3 things strong about this gun. So you have very high firearm attack, good toxic attack, you have very high weak point damage, and of course you can add a bit of multi-hit as well, even though base multi-hit isn't the highest, but you can increase it a little bit. This will go up to 33.33, so that's not that bad. So yeah, let's first look into the roles and the cores. Now I have firearm attack on the roll, toxic attack, weak point. So those are the 3 things that this gun is good at basically. And I've put attribute status effect trigger rate, which gives us a good chance of triggering the status poison effect. And then for the cores, I've gone with, in the free slot, I've gone with firearm attack. In the orange slot, I have firearm attack again. Element, obviously, toxic. And in the 2 green, I've put 1 fire rate and 1 rounds per magazine. Now it's up to you. You can put 2 fire rates if you want. You'll just empty the clip faster, and this is not that important. I mean, in my opinion, for a hand cannon to have very high fire rate is unnecessary, but if it is a little bit higher, at least around 200, I think that's good enough. So I went with 1 fire rate and 1 rounds per magazine so that I can shoot for a while before I have to reload. So just a general setup here. Now let's look at the first build here. Okay, so this one is mostly focused around multi-hit. Now somebody in the comments said that I tend to move my mouse around too much over the mod, so they can't take a screenshot. So I'll leave it for a few seconds so you can take a screenshot. Also, while we are here, keep in mind, people like me, content creators, we put more catalysts than needed. So just pick whichever you like more and save on a few catalysts, because I've ended up using more catalysts than required, I suppose. So this is like a all-round build, multi-hit, weak point, element. I've combined all these 3 things here. So rifling reinforcement, action and reaction, and charge amplification. So because we don't have crit damage, these 3 will give us a lot of firearm attack. Then we have 1 mod for ammo, 1 mod for fire rate, because we are losing a little bit of fire rate with the multi-hit chance mod here. And then 2 mods for the element, toxic enhancement, and poison priority. And then finally I have 1 for weak point. Okay, so this is your general purpose build with multi-hit. Okay, if you look at the numbers here, firearm attack is nearly 200,000, toxic attack is 276,000, 238 fire rate, and so on. Okay, and our multi-hit chance is 65 and 3.3 for multi-hit damage, and weak point is 3.78, almost 4. Okay, now let's look at the second build, which is purely focused on the toxic stuff. Now what we have is rifling reinforcement, action and reaction, charge amplification, okay, and we also have a bunch of toxic mods. So we don't have too many multi-hit mods or any multi-hit mods. We do have 1 weak point, and then we have toxic enhancement, poison priority, toxic circulation, venom injector. So all sorts of crazy things will happen when you have this one. So these 2 will give you the base toxic power. This will when you inflict toxin, the poison effect on the enemy, you will do more toxic damage. And remember, we have an attribute which is higher as well, so this will happen more. And then when an enemy dies inflicted with poison, it will inflict poison to other enemies within a 15-meter radius. So all sorts of toxic power here. Okay, now this one, the build page, we have again 276 toxic, 196 over here. Attribute, remember, we have 15, and we don't have any multi-hit chance on this one, so this stays at 0.2, and same weak point. Okay, now our final build here is focused around weak point, because this gun does have a good weak point, so we want to build into that. So it'll be more weak point and less toxic. So same rifling reinforcement, action reaction, toxic charge amplification. These three again same, and then we still have half aiming, we still have poison priority, but we also have weak point sight and weak point expansion. Okay, so this will give you more weak point, and when you hit a weak point, you'll get 140% damage. So this time the numbers look slightly different. We have 4.657 weak point over here. We have a higher fire rate because we did not put the multi-site to reduce the fire rate, and we have 276 toxic. This is the same as before. So yeah, and no multi-hit chance on this one. So this is purely for weak point. So those are the three builds here. You can pick and choose whichever you prefer. You'll need more of these malachite slots if you are going for the weak point stuff, because these mods will need this. For the toxic mods, you'll need more of the, what are the R called? Rutile slot. So these R ones, okay. And for multi-hit also need R, so you could get away with more multi, but the weak point is good. If you look here, the number over here is 7.875 weak point. Overall, we saw it was like 4 point something. But yeah, that's why I've put the attribute here so that our toxic stuff will also trigger. So yeah, you will basically not notice too much of a difference. With the weak point, you just have to consciously aim for the weak points. Like so, focusing on the elites or the other enemies, just focus on the weak point. You'll get more of those. You'll get more of the bounces as well, and you'll create one extra cog. So yeah, it shouldn't make too much of a difference. Only difference, like I said, is if you are good with aim and you are focusing on hitting the weak point, you can go with the weak point setup. If you just run into a random mob and you want to shoot like crazy, just pick the other two. All right, let's quickly talk about the inversion reinforcement for using with Malevolent. Now, with every season when they have a new gun, they tend to have a perk especially for that. We had one for Voltia. This time we have one for Malevolent as well. So basically, if you are using the Malevolent, you get 2 extra bladed cogs. Normally you get 3 if you hit the body. If you hit the weak point, you get 4, and you get 2 extra. That is just insane. You get 2 extra, that will bounce around 5 more times, so more damage. And as for the attribute, you can pick toxic obviously for the gun. If you are modding it with different elements, you can choose that. As for the final third perk, you can either pick one for recovery or survival or something, or if you are going with the multi-hit setup, you can use this one, strike point amplification. So if you land a multi-hit, it'll do more weak point damage. So basically the first build that I have, you can use this for that. Now for the Arche Tuning, since I haven't unlocked Arche Tuning on VSA, let's go to Serena. Now if you are using this with Serena, you can again do this setup here, use a bit of multi-hit, focus more on the gun, put more health into Serena. If you're just focusing on the gun, let's say you're not playing Serena and you're just using another Descendant and you only care about the damage from the gun, then you go with something like this. So basically, you want to get into the multi-hit stuff, you want to get into the reload stuff, a little bit of accuracy. Now the advantage affinity, this gun has burst type damage, so this will work well against the Order of Truth. And then you go and get some more of the firearm attack and things like that. So this would be the setup for just the gun. Okay. Now, if you're not working with the multi-hit setup, then you could probably skip all of this and just try to get some more damage. Go here. Now, this is not particularly great for Colossus stuff. Doesn't have crit rate or crit damage, so we still have 7 points. I suppose we'll have to waste a little bit and grab these. Again, crit damage isn't useful, but we can get more of the firearm attack, something like this. So yeah, you can work with this setup. Reload will help, accuracy will help, advantage affinity will help against Order of Truth. But yeah, this is what I would do if you're not using the multi-hit setup. So that is the Arche Tuning for this gun. Now before I go, I wanted to mention one minor adjustment you can make to the toxic setup. So if you look here, we are getting 284,000 for the toxic setup here. Okay, poison priority and all of that. Instead of poison priority, you can use toxic gun barrel. So this one gives you 50% of this, but this will give you a lot more at the expense of fire rate. This will be at the expense of reload time. So if we put this here, what we get is 336,000 toxic damage. Okay, and the fire rate goes down to 210. With the poison priority, our reload time will increase, but the poison will go down, but the fire rate is 219. So you can try this out, see which one you prefer. But yeah, if you wanted more toxic damage, you can use the toxic gun barrel and go back to basically the default fire rate, as these two cancel each other, I suppose, with the fire rate, and you'll still be insanely crazy. You see, it does feel slower with the thing, but yeah, you could put 2 fire rate cores, the green ones, and compensate for that. So variations you can try. Also with the free slot, you could put more toxic there if you wanted, instead of the mod and slowing down your gun. So yeah, various things you can try. Cores are a little harder, so playing around with the mods is easier. So yeah, so that is my build for the price checker, I should say, the Malevolent hand cannon. And yeah, let me know what you think. Are you using it? I genuinely did not want to touch this until I had done some of the other guns, because I knew this is just too powerful, and I may end up using it more. But anyway, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. See you next time.